Hello, listeners, and welcome to the first episode of Dear Future Alien Overlords. I am your host, Amiga Montoya, and this is my co-host, Prepare to Die. How you doing today?
Prepare to die, I like that.
Prepare to Die, yes.
That's Sir Prepare to Die to you.
Oh, well, all right then. Anyway, this is a podcast.
This is the very first podcast that we're doing. Basically, we just go down the rabbit hole of our consciousness and just start talking for whatever's on our mind that day.
Just two guys that are also brothers, by the way, just talking. And
Yep, two guys, two brothers.
Two brothers.
From the same mother.
Yes.
Yes. That's how brothers work.
and we're talking, and it's going to be a lot of just frustrating, probably for the listener, audio of us just going over random topics. We'll try to keep our discussions a bit more organized, but this first episode is probably going to be crazy. So be patient with us, and we'll try our best to sharpen up a little bit.
Yeah, as we go along, structure will probably form, and it'll get better.
Maybe a society will form, and
maybe a society will form. Wars will happen between them, and maybe love will be found.
We might discover fire at some point. Just start.
So join us on this epic quest, the quest of a lifetime.
Yes. This is Dear Future Alien Overlords.
Or DFAO.
I'm assuming, honestly, the only people that are going to be listening to this is our future selves and maybe our children eventually. I don't know. I'm not sure. But hello.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone in the world will be listening to this podcast, Brigham.
Coming out with confidence.
This is the most anticipated event of 2022.
Bigger than the
We're
Super
filming
Bowl.
it live in this single wide trailer in the middle of an undisclosed location.
Yes, the whole Super Bowl halftime show is just gonna be this audio recording.
Yeah.
Some dude's just gonna roll out with a speaker in the middle of this field. It's gonna be us talking.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Okay, well, going back to it, the purpose of this podcast is for us to kind of hold our memories in a place of certainty, and that is this podcast. We're hoping to kind of keep this memory of kind of our past selves
and all the stupid thoughts that ran through our brains.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, we are living through interesting times. I mean, in comparison to a lot of other times on the planet, I think this is a pretty interesting time. We got Russia doing stuff, and we got
COVID,
and what else?
There was those killer hornets a while ago. That was pretty crazy.
That was forever ago.
Well, I'm just saying that was a big deal when it happened.
It's just gonna the year currently is 2000.
We're actually not doing this for ourselves. We're actually doing this for all of humanity, so that one day our words may be preserved. So that if an alien life form needs to study our race, this is what they go off of.
We plan on putting this in a capsule and sending it to the stars.
If NASA, you need any information or a thing to just tell aliens what we're about, just send them this podcast.
Stardate 53.
Yeah, and then that's all they'll need to know.
Pretty much.
So, and maybe for just the heck of it, just talking to each other.
Should we give the aliens that are gonna listen to this a reference to our language? Should we just show pictures of a lemon and be like, lemon?
Well, I know that universal language is math, right? Like if we were to actually communicate with aliens, we would use math. That's what they say.
How would we use math?
Because math is a constant in the universe,
But measurements won't be the same.
Well, we could do I don't know.
Why is numbers the way they are for us? Because we go on what is it called? We count to 10 and then we go to 20 and then it's a we have 10 fingers.
Yeah, we're
right?
well, it's because it's based off our 10.
Yeah, it's based off our 10 fingers.
We have 10 fingers.
So an alien race with say six fingers
would have a 6-fingered system.
Wow, it's we both read the same book or something.
Is this a book?
Remember that book, Hail Mary?
Oh no, I only read one chapter of that, so it doesn't
that's
really
so disappointing. They get really into this stuff.
Do they talk about that in that book?
Oh wait, how far have you gotten into it?
I've literally only read a middle of the I got thrown in. My wife's reading it, so it's
Man, your wife's cooler than you.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah, well, so is mine. Yeah, actually, that's something big in my personal life is that I'm actually about to get married within 6 days.
That sucks, man. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, come on. You're already there. You've been like waving in front of me like, I'm married and you're not all the time.
I will be honest, being married is nice. You know, you get this woman that legally has to be with you for the rest of your life.
Gosh.
You know?
That's so depressing way of saying that.
Well, she's happy, you know. At least that's what she tells me.
You're like making this sound like an animal you
I'm sorry,
captured.
you're
It's
about
like,
to get married in a week, and I'm just like ruining it for
no,
you.
you're making it sound like it's like this animal you captured. Like, I feed it. It's happy. It wants to be here. Even if it didn't have to be here, it would be here.
I'm not making her stay. You know, I'm just threatening to sue the crap out of her.
Oh my
if she
gosh,
leaves.
bro.
I'm just joking.
Well,
No, my wife is very sweet, and you're gonna love marriage.
yeah. Good thing we went under.
Do you have any questions for me as your larger, more experienced brother of marriage? What are you know what? I think this podcast should just be like a river, you know. We're just going along with the flow, you know. We don't have any direction, you know. We're a boat without a rudder. We're just going down this river and of this stream of consciousness, and we're exploring where it goes. That's what we're doing.
Okay, I like it.
You know?
Well,
that's what we should call the podcast, the stream of consciousness.
Gosh. We'd like get posted
dear,
at like
Dear Aliens or something like that.
Dear Future Alien Overlords.
Dear Future Alien Overlords. Don't kill me.
I kind of like that, actually.
I kind of want to change the podcast right now to Dear Future Alien Overlords.
And or AI Overlord.
Or AI Overlord, you know.
Okay, but going back to the, questions about getting married.
Yeah, man. What do you got? What do you have for me?
I have so much. I just wonder all the time. Do you like to eat?
What? Do I like to eat?
No, I mean like what's the cooking looking like as far as your house goes?
Yeah. No, I'd like to say that we both contribute equally to dinner. But
okay.
Heather definitely does a lot more of that.
Okay.
You know, like so it's like this. It's like Heather will be like, "Hey, I made you nice food," and she like gives us food, and we have that for leftovers for like the next 2 days. You know, and then it's like, "Okay, honey, it's your turn for dinner." I'm like, "Okay, so where are we going? Are we going to Chick-fil-A? Are we going to Red Lobster?" So,
she like puts in like time and effort into like cooking, and you're like,
really
"I'm gonna throw money at this."
I'm just gonna fix this with money.
I get that. It's
with money I don't have.
Cooking takes a lot of time out of your day.
It does, yeah.
I see those advertisements all the time, like for those like services like called HelloFresh. Have you seen those advertisements?
Oh yeah, I've been tempted by those. Yeah,
actually, because it like just like
here's my problem with those is just the portion sizes are like, this gives you everything you need and it's only 300 calories a meal. I'm like, holy crap, that's like 2 granola bars for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's
the
probably
ones at least I've seen have been very, like...
Yeah, it's not
healthy.
Proportioned for the large American.
It's really not. Like, it's proportioned for, like, a small Japanese family.
Oh my gosh. A whole entire Japanese family, 200 calories.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I'm like, this is not made for an American man like me, who's, like, in their 20s and growing.
I'm the equivalent of a Japanese family. Honestly, some Americans are, and that's...
Yeah, seriously. I bet there's they need to do a study where they're like, do some Americans eat as much as like a Japanese family, or like?
That's depressing. I mean, also we're also being kind of like racist towards like I'm sure a lot of Japanese people are very well off and they eat very well.
Oh yes, definitely. Yes.
I think you're thinking more of like
I don't know,
Vietnamese families.
I don't know. There's like a Weird Al like lyric where he's like talking about. It was like in that "Just Eat It," you know that thing.
Yeah.
Where he talks about like something about Japan, like go and give it to Japan if you don't want to eat it or something. I don't, because there's children starving in Japan, so eat it. You know that. So that's, I don't know. That's why I guess I got that from.
There's children starving everywhere. I feel like there's still,
yeah, it's true.
It's about where they're mostly starving at, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Man, where did we get to children starving?
Dude, we have been all over the place. We were talking about marriage. We were talking about aliens. And then we started talking about...
You brought in rivers.
Well, that was a cool little metaphor I threw in there. You're
cool
welcome.
Metaphor.
Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of what the structure of this podcast is. That's just a taste of what the chaotic of this podcast is going to be.
We were debating on names a little bit earlier, and I wanted it to be a disorderly discussion.
Which, that might be appropriate with how this
especially this episode
transpired, yes.
Maybe we should just make a new podcast for every episode.
We just have like a bunch of random podcasts that release one episode and then they just change.
Because it's just so much just about this one topic.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so clearly we still have a lot to figure out about recording our voices in a way that doesn't make you want to immediately throw your phone away and whatever listening device you have. And we promise that we will try our best to do better at that.
And also just better at staying on topic, probably, and actually have a good... This is just a little starter episode, just to see... We're just dipping our feet in the water, trying this out, getting used to it. I forgot that the microphone was even here, so I just stepped away for a little bit.
That's good in a sense, because we just want to talk, and I feel like flow of conversation is pretty easy with you, seeing as you're pretty much just a closest version of a clone I have, honestly.
It is true, yes.
It's kind of insane, because you think about how much we're made by our memories. It goes into that whole argument of nurture versus nature, but I think that as far as the closest thing I have to a duplicate of myself, you're probably it. Yeah,
but in the same way, we're also so different too.
We are extremely different.
How you perceive a certain thing is different than how I perceive a certain thing, And you're right, we have a lot of the same memories.
But yeah, I think the memories that we draw on also shape our personality. We were in the same place for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Just slightly different perspectives on those same things.
Right, yeah. What do you think? Do you think it's more nurture or nature? When it comes to crafting a human, is it nurture or nature? Because if I took two twins, who are identically the same, and then I raise them in two different environments, do they become the same person, or are they different?
I think it's a really hard thing to put your finger on right now because, honestly, in the end, it's going to be a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Because obviously, your experiences as a child have a huge impact on your life every day. That's why there's a classic therapist joke of well, tell me about your childhood.
Yeah.
And then you'll bring up some past traumas and stuff like that. But I like to think of it more as nurture. I like to think of it as we're all kind of open books, and we could just be kind of whatever we want written onto it.
It is, yeah. It's crazy that you could throw a baby into any environment and they can learn any language.
Yeah.
Anywhere. That's a total nurture thing,
Right.
And the places you're growing up and the culture you're thrown into, I think is a huge influence on who you become in the future. Obviously we've been raised a certain way. We have a certain, how we act and stuff. But it's if we were, and halfway across the world in Japan, starving. Not eating anything for
thinking about those giant fat Americans that eat as much as my entire family.
We would be totally different, But I do also feel who you are genetically does have a factor on it too, because it's I might be a big person, and so that's gonna affect how I kind of behave, or I might be small and scrawny. Or
it also shapes your perspective into a certain trend.
True.
That's why there's this trend, this kind of thought of oh, big people are stupid.
Yeah, you get these stereotypes and stuff.
And
yeah,
that's
exactly.
Probably because oh, I want to do more sports stuff instead of
right.
academics.
If you're 6'7", you're probably gonna be playing basketball.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be a part of your life.
Exactly. So yeah, your genetic structure and just how you're gonna result and probably has a huge effect on your life. For instance, you and I are very different as far as our
our build
goes. I remember the one time I tried to work out with you, it was all these body workouts and I was just dying the whole time and you were
I know, but you're I'll just lift the heavy thing and
big rock. But that's a cool point. I do think a lot about
also think about everyone, people with mental disorders, people that are born with autism,
exactly.
That obviously has a huge effect on who they are as a person, So it's, I don't know, I feel it can't be just one or the other. I feel it's both.
Yeah.
But I think in most cases it's probably an 80-20. Nurture is 80 and then nature's 20. Something
I like that.
I
like that. I like that pie chart you just made there.
Yes, or a bar
I
graph
like to
or
put it in a
whatever.
pie chart in my mind.
Oh, is that how
I
your
work
brain
with pie
works?
charts.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do?
I work with linear graphs.
That makes no sense. You're a monster. Get out
Not
of
to
my.
you. You work with circles, you weirdo.
Circles make sense, bro. I could fit like it's like thinking about eating a pie. Okay, with like bar, it's like.
Well, speaking of pi, that's part of a circle, 3.141, you know? That's, I don't know, your brain is just thinking of circles, like... All right, let's circle back to what we were talking about.
Just like trying to figure out where you were going with that.
I don't know where I was going with that.
But no, going back to what you were saying about like the whole thing, like how we have like a very kind of like set experience, you know, for like the both of us. Like we both like grew up in the same household. I'm also like thinking about like us as Americans, our set experience, and it's like crazy to me to think that like people like have like such different lives in different places of the world, and I'm never really gonna fully understand that. And it's honestly kind of frustrating to think about that, but it's also like invigorating because I'm like, oh, there's so much to learn about people and about cultures and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, like you have no idea, and like no one knows exactly what it's like to be someone else, you know?
Yeah.
And I think if we understood that as a society, we'd probably be a lot more caring and nice to people. But you know, if we just recognize that, holy crap, I don't know what that guy's going through. Maybe why he did what he did was because of something, you know? So.
Right, yeah. It definitely kind of like makes me like want to go out and learn more about people's culture and stuff like that. And I think like thinking in that terms, it's like a pretty good perspective to have on other people in the world because it's not like seeing it as like you versus me. It's like you and another experience of life, which is interesting.
Right.
And intrigue is always better than whatever you call tribalism, I guess.
Tribalism, where you're like, yeah, I know, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like a little bit of a fluffy thought there, but I just feel like a lot of the times we just aren't able to relate with a lot of people, and we get into this whole us versus them perspective, and like pretty recently. Growing up in our household, it was very conservative of a household, and you kind of were. Our parents were, you know, pretty conservative, and they voiced their opinions a lot, and you know, you respect your parents, and you kind of start thinking what they think a lot of the times, and so I had a pretty set perspective on the far left. You know, I had this perspective of, oh, they're not realists, they don't understand what really works. You know, they just want this like happy communist world. And all these sorts of things. And plus also my media didn't really help as much with that either. Like I saw the left as these blue hair ladies that just were screaming about something or other. And you know, I definitely am still like a bit more conservative because I, you know, just like how I think things should be run as far as the government goes. But like I also am able to like see those like they're just people trying to think of like the best way to handle things, you know? And a lot of those times like all you're seeing is like the super radical ones.
Yeah, man, this is dangerous. On podcast one, you're getting into politics, Brig, right? Dipping your toes into it.
You know, I don't yeah.
Got some balls here
already...
on Bros of the Round Table, you know.
They're under the table.
You've got some good points. Like I honestly, yeah, I recognize that I was raised with some biases, like towards the conservative. But I think in this period, you know, we're in our early 20s. Like in this period of your life is when you usually start to kind of go branch out and reject your parents' ideologies.
Right.
You know, like this is the time when you kind of figure out what you are, you know, and then you're willing to change some things, you know, like this is why people usually radically change their lives in this kind of period, you know?
Yeah. Did you have any similar experience with that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
What was kind of like the big like light switch that like kind of like we're like, huh?
Paradigm kind of shift.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, like I don't know. I started realizing that I'm like, holy crap, my whole worldview is so narrow. Like I've been incredibly like you know, in that conservative like mindset, like growing up, you know, and I think they're good values. I'm not dissing on the conservative stuff, but like I realize that I have such a narrow perspective on life, and I need to be open to other people's like okay, let's set aside my biases and actually look at what the other side is saying. And I feel like that's a problem with a lot of people is they can't do that. You know, it's like, okay, how do you, and that's hard for people to do, is to be like, okay, let's assume that I'm wrong. Like, that's how science handles it. They like look at things falsifiable, like,
Always questioning everything.
always questioning everything. You question your own beliefs, and I think that's super important. I want to teach my kids how to do that, like question your own beliefs. I
Yeah.
don't want you to like feel like you have to be this way because your parents are like this way. You should
Right.
figure out what you believe. And so listen to both sides and actually be honest with yourself when you listen to both sides. I'm not saying I'm conservative or liberal. There's things that I don't like and like from both sides, but I can at least be open to both. Like, I
Right.
don't have to be hard set and be like, oh, I have to vote for this person because this is who my parents voted for, and clearly the other side's Satan. Like,
Anyway,
but yeah.
no,
Anyway,
I
I
get you.
trailed off there a little bit.
No, that was a good little talk there. I liked that. It was kind of
Yeah.
inspiring, honestly, and I think it's kind of interesting because mine wasn't really as much as like a slow transition to like realizing like, hey, maybe I should like think more outside of my own perspective on things. It was more of like a pretty snap like, huh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was like I think so that was when I'm dating Lizzie. Oh no, I said her name. Anyway, I'm gonna marry this girl. So I mean, it's not like this is a
Her name is Lizzie.
name's Lizzie. There you go. Now you're one step closer to finding out who I really am. We leave little secrets here and there, but anyway, she kind of like we kind of like were talking one time, and when we first started dating off, I was like extremely kind of conservative. I was like subscribing to a lot of conservative speakers on YouTube, and I just kind of like got like this daily dose of look at how dumb the left is being, look at how stupid they're being and stuff like that. And so I remember like one time, and Lizzie is a far more intelligent person than I am. She's kind of thought about things a lot more, and so we like kind of had like I was like commenting on something, some current event in the world, and we just kind of ended up having like this full on discussion about this, and I kept on like trying to like defend like, oh, this is this and that. It's just their fault. It's just them being stupid, and it's really frustrating, and I can't believe that they're causing all these problems for us. And it's just like, absolutely not. Like there
Yeah.
is like it is so much more complex than that. I cannot believe that you think that's all there is to it. Like the world is not just black and white like that. And so we ended up having a big discussion about it, and she kind of brought up a lot of good points, and then like, oh. And that little hamster in my brain started running and actually started working.
Yeah, and I
thinking
don't
about
think it's
things.
bad to like listen to the conservative point of view. I also think it's important that you listen to both sides if you're gonna handle a situation.
Yeah.
Like right now, the whole abortion thing is huge. Right now, you got the pro
Big deal.
life, and then you got the abortion. So it's like look at both sides of that. Don't just look at one. And
Exactly.
then analyze it for yourself and figure out what you believe. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I see
Also,
it.
I honestly think, as far as like politics go, like putting yourself under like a title limits your ability to think a lot. Like being like, I am a conservative, and then suddenly, without even thinking about these things, you're believing this and this and this and this, or I am a Democrat and you believe this and this and this, because that's what the general party believes.
Right, yeah. You don't have to go along with what the general party believes
Yeah,
every
you
time.
should think about every.
You could have a conservative standpoint on this and then a liberal standpoint on something else. I totally agree with you there.
not-
And that's kind of how I am.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of how I shifted too. And I think, like, honestly, like if you're kind of like a radical person, you have either had like a really serious experience in your life where you believe one thing or other, or you just kind of are going with the flow.
I think radicalism in any form can be bad. Like,
Yeah.
isn't good.
I mean,
If you're shutting out like any other opinions and are only feeding yourself, like it's that bias, that confirmation bias, where all the information you're telling yourself is information you agree with. So it's like you ignore like 99% of the facts, but you agree with the 1% that it supports what you already believe.
and that's
you
so
know?
limiting, and it's
Yeah.
kind of scary. It's really scary, and
And that's where radicalism comes
that's
from.
radicalism, and it's
Yeah.
scary that like a lot of America is being held by that position. It feels like right now.
I think it's not all of America. I think
You don't
it's
think?
just the louder part of America
What you see.
sees.
Yeah.
I think it's blown over proportion to, like everyone's radical, but I don't think that many people are that radical. I think there's a lot more middle people like us.
That's a good point. Yeah,
You know?
I think
They're just
social,
quiet about it.
I think social media kind of like plays a big deal into that because like the more people react to something, the more it's kind of like promoted and viewed, and then you get a hold of it.
Right.
So like radicalism is like the thing that like sifts up to the surface.
It's because it's like a crazy out there thing. It's like, whoa, this person believes this. What do you think about that? And then everybody starts to talk.
Controversial
like,
topics.
There's a bunch of like attention onto that. You know?
Exactly.
Whereas like, you know, people that are more moderate, that doesn't make headlines. You know what I mean?
It doesn't. Like, I think that this and this and this, and I think anyone should just be able to do what they want.
I know, and that's what I want. I want a president that's like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how, again, like skewing our perspective of reality. Like we just went over that. Like I was thinking, like, yeah, it feels like there's a lot of people that are very radical in America, and you're like, well, that's what you see.
Yeah.
And like it makes me think about like how many other things I like think about the world because of social media and that skewed perspective on things like you know, just like facts of like America and facts about this and like how many things like social media like changed your perspective on.
Yeah, again, it's going back to that confirmation bias. Like social media will like what you like, you know, it'll feed you back what you like. You know? It doesn't show you what you don't like. You know, it'll the algorithm knows what you like, and so they'll only show you what you like.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get ads for what you agree with.
Right.
And, you know,
there's a great documentary movie on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, I think, and it goes over that exact topic about how it like kind of you like certain things and it like starts showing you all those things that you like, and it was an unintentional thing that happened. There's not like a bunch of like evil masterminds behind these like social media outlets. It's like we want to keep the person scrolling on this device. So we want
you just want engagement. That's all you want.
They're wanting your attention, and it's really they have like a little saying there where it's like if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yeah.
So Netflix, I mean not Netflix, like Snapchat is free, Instagram is free, Facebook is free. Most of those social media outlets are for free. So you are the product. They're trying to show you ads, and they're just trying to like show you things. So they're trying to keep you on. And so what keeps you on is what you agree with more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you have a good point. That's totally what it is. That's why I stay away from social media, honestly. Like, I've just gotten to straight up texts, and then I occasionally check in on my Instagram, and that's about it, you know.
It's a good thing to do, because it's extremely addicting.
I will say YouTube is like that gets me. That's my kryptonite. Like, YouTube I can waste so much of my life on.
YouTube gets me too, but I feel less dumb on YouTube than I do like on Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
Because like YouTube, like at least it's like longer videos where people get to explain things more, and I just like getting like knowledge from YouTube, and also like, you know, like viewing entertainment, like people like Markiplier playing games and stuff like that and all that fun stuff. But like I feel more intelligent on YouTube than like Instagram or like TikTok or something like that, because it's like little clips and like little stupid like little things to just try to keep your attention for that one little video.
Yeah, I would be interested to see how that affects people's attention spans.
Exactly.
Like I guarantee you, people's attention spans have dropped with like the coming of like TikTok and Vine.
Oh yeah.
And like these things that are just quick little 7-second video clips, and it's like, oh man, if this video is more than like 3 minutes long or like 10 seconds, it's like we're scripting, so I'm like, I don't know, I'm the opposite though. Like on YouTube I like will watch hour-long D&D podcasts. Like these really long drawn out things,
like entertainment in long form.
Yeah, like I like it. I like to take my time. It's like when I'm doing something and I just want something in the background.
Yeah, you don't have to like pay attention the whole time,
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you talk about like how you think it's gonna affect people. It's already affecting a lot of society. Like Lizzie's mom is a school teacher, and apparently they were trying to play the movie Lion King for like the younger kids and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't sit through it. They couldn't watch it. They
were like, no, I can't listen.
They got so bored. They got so bored so fast. And it's The Lion King. It's a great film, and it's hilarious.
That is so funny. Dang.
So it's interesting, like, because it's...
They're like, can you put The Lion King in like a 10-second clip?
Right?
Just
like
it'd be like, Simba. Like, have you seen that like video?
Oh, that's such a funny video. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, I wonder like how much of the entertainment media is like going to be changed by that, and like, are we going to be even able to like pay attention to like movies, like 2-hour long movies? Like, are we going to be able to do that?
I don't know. I feel like movies have gotten longer though. Like Dune was like a 3-hour movie. But to be fair, the friends I went with fell asleep. They were like,
Yeah.
"No, it's too long."
No,
And
I was there that night. It was yeah, a lot of people that weren't into it were definitely not into it.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting thing, and I think we'll as because this it's relatively new.
Mhm.
As we continue with this, and we see like these babies that have only experienced this
Right.
grow up and become adults, we'll get to see how it's affected our society. That'll
I
be
don't see it
really
affecting it in a
interesting.
positive perspective.
I don't really either.
But who do you think's at risk right now? Do you think that we're at risk with this?
I think so. I think I've become a less I think I've become a less productive human being. But I also think the internet's great. I'm allowed to hear and see thoughts, like other people's thoughts, and access to like any information I could ever want. Like
Yeah.
that's amazing.
The internet's a really interesting thing because I don't think we are ready for it at all.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when the first car was invented, you didn't need a driver's license to drive the car.
Yeah.
So there was people operating these vehicles in like crowded areas of like New York, like these like steel death traps, pretty much. They didn't have any training or nothing. They would just drive these things around and like hopefully those things were like more complicated back then. There was like gear shifts and there was like a bunch of like other like things that
And
you
they're
had to
death
do.
machines.
They're death machines.
Yeah.
It's steam powered death machines that if it crashes, it spews out a bunch of hot vapor.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because like that eventually evolved into like okay, you need to like have there's a much more rules, and there's like a lot more that you have to do in order to be able to drive a car.
Yeah.
And all these things. And I'm wondering if the internet's gonna be like the same thing. Like if it's like realized like holy cow, this is like has a huge effect on people and like our mental development. Like we have to like you have to have an internet license or something like that.
People would go crazy against
They
that.
would. They would.
Not,
Because the internet is like the most free thing that we've pretty much created.
and I think that's what's great about it is it's free. Could you imagine if you had to pay for the internet?
No, I would hate it.
Yeah, that would stink.
Yeah, that would ruin everything. So I get it, but like also like it's like how do you solve that problem?
I don't know. What I like to think about is like what happens if eventually we're able to like like a microchip into your brain, you're able to access the internet 24 like you don't need a phone at that point. Like will we be an incredibly intelligent race or will we be like so numbed and distracted and like unable to find joy in life? Like you know what I mean?
Just like
we're
overstimulated.
We're just overstimulated through the I feel like we're a little bit overstimulated right now, but like could you imagine if it was always like accessible in your brain?
Yeah, I mean that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I think I really think that there's a difference between having access to information and knowing information.
Yeah.
Like like you could easily like search like when was World War II or stuff like that, but if you like are running your life on a day-to-day basis, you're not gonna have just like your mental like well this is what this is and this is what that is and I shouldn't do this because of that. You're not gonna know to look those things up because you don't know about it.
I think it would radically change education. Like
it would.
I think we wouldn't teach kids to memorize how to do stuff. Like we would just we teach them how to find the information they need. We wouldn't teach them like and how to use it probably. They would teach them how to use that information and how to find it.
Right.
But then like the actual memorize how to do this, memorize that probably wouldn't be as emphasized.
I think I think it's funny because that stuff's already happened. Like, do you remember how to do long division still?
No, I have no idea.
Remember how we learned how to do long division?
I know, but I'm never gonna need it ever again in my life
because you have a calculator.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's technology coming into play. And like, of course, calculators were a thing, but like, you didn't have it on hand really all the time.
No, and I know I've memorized certain simple stuff, like 144 divided by 12 is 12. You know, like that stuff, like the short math, but like long division, like
you were really saying, long division where you can actually get like decimals and everything like that. Like, that was, it's kind of crazy because like it's weird because like if you took a human and like dropped them off like 70 years ago. Yeah. When there like wasn't like basic stuff like refrigerators and stuff like that. I'm not really sure when the refrigerator was invented, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a thing 7 years ago. They had like ice boxes then or something like that.
70 years ago, man, was 1950. I feel like we had refrigerators.
I don't think
I remember watching like Leave It to Beaver and seeing like a refrigerator in the
No,
background.
okay, so like those, they look like refrigerators, right? But they were ice boxes.
Yeah.
That's why the refrigerator is the way it is, because they put like a block of ice in the bottom and it would all waft onto it. And so, let me look it up real quick.
Let's go on this little side tangent of refrigerators real quick.
And then hopefully, okay, so, wow. Okay, 1913. You are definitely right.
I
Okay.
told you, I'm like, I remember seeing
Okay.
Leave It to Beaver.
You and your
with
and
a
the first
refrigerator.
image up is like, I'm pretty sure just Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, that's definitely Leave It to Beaver right there. Yeah.
I don't even know. All of like those black and
I
white.
wonder how many people
moms look the
listening.
same.
If we have any listeners on this podcast, like leave a comment if you know what Leave It to Beaver is.
They're like, we're listening to this in like 2070 or something.
Or if
like
the
that.
aliens listen to this, you need to go watch it. That would.
So explain what a refrigerator is real quick, just for the aliens listening. Cold.
Coldness.
Cold.
Cold box. You put food in. Cold box.
Anyway, so like you take like the average American, put him back to 1910, before the refrigerator was invented.
Yep.
And be like, yeah, you're from the future. You have all this knowledge, right? Like, how do you do this? Like, how do you, like, could you like make a refrigerator?
Oh, I definitely couldn't make a
couldn't
refrigerator.
No, you couldn't. I mean, like, and that's
I mean,
like,
if you put Elon Musk back then, yeah, I bet he could. Like,
I mean, like, you know, like the basic idea of a refrigerator.
yeah, like basic stuff. And I'd be like, yo, guys, let's learn how to use a light bulb or something. These torches are.
You know, light bulbs aren't how refrigerators work, right?
Yeah, Brick, obviously.
Okay.
I know how to refrigerator.
No,
Why don't you tell the audience, though, just for my humor, how a refrigerator works? Why don't you, Brig? That would be good.
It's something.
Hi, welcome to Bros of the Round Table. We're going to teach you how a refrigerator
How to
works.
fix a refrigerator.
Just in case somehow you spontaneously end up in the year 1910
And you
need to invent the
and you
refrigerator.
have access to this podcast. Basically, it's something about a gas going to a solid and then burning off a lot of that heat.
It changes states.
Yeah,
I know
changing
but it's
states,
a liquid, I thought.
and
I
then
didn't think
radiating. It was like a liquid to solid, because it's all that energy expanding, right, or something like that.
I think we need to listen to podcasts about refrigerators.
Let's listen to a podcast while we're making the podcast.
That's the podcast. We review podcasts about.
It's just podcast inception.
And then we need to have a sister channel that's a podcast reviewing our podcast, as well as reviewing podcasts.
Anyway, going back to the point, because this is getting
I don't even remember what
we're
the
getting
point
really
was.
distracted. It's the point is that we don't understand a lot of the basic tech, because we have people that specialize in that and take care of that, and that's not something we need to know on a day-to-day basis.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of like this point where we're like moving on from those things that are like oh, you know, like they were maybe taught one point at a time because that was like day-to-day knowledge, but now we're kind of moving on from that because we don't need to know that stuff.
Yeah, but it's always been like that, you know.
Well, I think life is getting more and more
new technology
convenient.
is made, and then old technology kind of gets forgotten about. Like,
yeah,
like some people don't know how to start a fire, and that was our very first big thing. That we
right,
made,
like the caveman, like, you're from the future, you don't know how to freaking
rub
two sticks together.
I couldn't do that. Like, if you told me to start a fire without a match or a lighter, I would have a really hard time doing that. And I'm an Eagle Scout, and I know the theory behind it, but like, it's tough.
Yeah,
you know. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's always going to be like we're always moving forward as a society.
But like, I'm wondering, like, because in that case we're moving on to like bigger and better things.
Yeah.
But do you think we're going to be moving on to bigger and better things in that situation of people like having the convenience of having all the knowledge there? Are they moving on to bigger and better things, or are they just becoming more and more convenient for us?
I think it's more convenient. Like, that's our technology is all about convenience.
So we're going to have everything tailored to us at some point. We don't need to know anything?
Probably. There's going to be like the select individuals that know exactly what it is and how it works and everything, and every know a little knick-knack about it, but then they're not going to know about this other thing, and you know, everyone's going to know a little bit of something. And I think that's how it is right now. But yeah, it's going to be more and more convenient, you know, easier for the everyday stupid, you know, person to use.
Not that,
so.
Yeah, like it's kind of funny because you like see like all like the, oh, well, you know, the general IQ level, like IQ.
The general IKEA level cannot.
The IKEA level
can't even put an IKEA furniture together. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, no, but like they like show like things of it like dropping, you know. And it's interesting because I don't think that we're like getting dumber. I think it's more of like a lack of desire to learn?
Maybe. I think it's just the convenience thing.
The
Like,
convenience, yeah.
I think we're scared of buttons. Like, I think.
I love buttons.
Well, I think some people are scared of buttons.
I'm thinking about
like,
mounting a bunch of switches and dials on my car that do nothing, just so I could switch them every now and then.
Oh my gosh, you need a fidget cube or something like that. But
just label them like rocket launcher.
I know what to get you for your wedding. There you go. Yeah. Someone gets you a $250 Roomba. I'm like, here's a fidget cube, Brig. This will bring you joy. But like, no, like seriously, like you think about it, like the iPhone, you know, originally had like, I don't know, like 6 buttons. Now it's like, in some cases doesn't have, it has like 2 buttons.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah,
like
no,
we're starting to lose buttons. Like we're like touchless. That's like what we like. We want cordless. We want touchless. We want like,
less. We just want less.
we want it to be easy. We want it to read our mind. We want it to like
Convenience.
be convenient, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where our society's going.
Like, do you
And I don't
remember
know if
how
that's
complicated TVs were when we were kids?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like the freaking learning how to like get dish working. Like there was so many buttons on that stupid.
Yeah, like a VHS just to watch a simple video.
There was like 50 million buttons on the controller, and you only use like 7 of them.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's just like, it's just a Roku remote which has like 7 buttons, and you're like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or it's just on your phone, or you just tell Alexa to play me this. Oh, sorry, we have an Alexa here. Shoot,
I'm not sure. I think you're clear. You're good.
Oh,
just stop saying her name.
She who shall not be named.
Yeah.
But yes. Well, yeah, that was an interesting discussion, Brig.
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm not sure if that's like
how it'll be every time.
Bad thing, but it kind of like it reminds me of Wall-E too much.
Wall-E.
You know, like those really. I guess I have to. Okay, so Wall-E is a movie about a robot that's intelligent, and it like goes to this cruise ship in space where all these fat people are hanging out on floating chairs.
What? Yeah, What? This reminds you of a
because all those floating chair people were just super fat because they didn't do anything, and they had a very convenient life, and they didn't know anything.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we're gonna get
their
to
life.
Wall-E,
Their
though.
life was just stimulation of like entertainment. Everything was taken care of them automatically by robots and whatever. And so it was just like, and I looked down on those people for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think it'll ever get that bad. I think people care too much about like their image now. That working out is too big of it. Like, I don't think.
No, I don't think we're gonna get
endemic.
fat. Yeah, but
I see what you're saying. Like, we're not gonna know how most things work, but we're gonna exist in the world.
Right.
And function normally anyways, though.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think there will always be people out there. I like to think optimistically that there's going to be people that are always going to be like, well, let's learn more. Like, how can I design something better this way? There's always going to be innovators, and there's always going to be people trying new things.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I don't
as long as there's money to be made, you know.
Exactly. Capitalism lives strong.
Capitalism lives strong.
Anyway, so I think there's always going to be like people...
It's either money or it's war. Like, those are the two things that drive innovation more than anything. If you think about it, it's true, though. Like, money, like, the opportunity to be rich, you know, is, like, a huge driving factor for people to, like, go create. I mean, also, like, just, there's people that are genuinely curious and want to, like, invent and stuff, too. I'm not counting those people out. But then it's also war. You know, like, how can we make weapons or, like, technology that will give us an edge over the enemy?
Yeah.
You know? Like, those are the two things.
Really, something interesting about
innovation.
that is if people didn't have to like worry about like doing day-to-day stuff like their 9-to-5 jobs and stuff like that, I think art would like flourish because they'd have nothing else to do besides focus on like personal creation.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, just art or like people that are passionate about something would probably do it. But
like I'm thinking like if I didn't have like my 9-to-5 job, I didn't have to worry about, you know, like the electric bill or rent or anything like that.
Like, if you just had to do your podcast,
I would
get in and
I
get
would
out.
so focus on this podcast. It would be the best podcast.
It would be the
number
best
one
podcast.
New York Times best podcast. You know?
It'd be the best podcast. Everyone would listen to it.
It would be great. No, I'd focus on like so many, because I love to do a bunch of different things. I love to like do woodwork. I love to like do like make leather dice holders. I play a bunch of D&D. Like, I do all those like little fun activities and creation things. And so like it'd be interesting to see the rest of the world just creating things. Freaking Etsy would be insane.
Yeah, Etsy would have so much. It already is crazy, but like, yeah, I could see that.
So many just.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And I think for some people like that, like art and like creating, it would be a thing. I also feel like there'd be a portion of the portion of the population that would just kind of be like unsatisfied with that, though.
It would be.
Yeah, no, they're like, I need more. Yeah,
Exactly. Like you need to like feel like you're striving. You need to like feel like you're pushing against something.
right.
Always moving
You're
forward.
gonna want those people that are gonna like, I want to build an empire, and I'm like, okay. So
No, like I feel like I'd like, have fun with that for like a little bit. I'd be like, right, I have so much time to do all these things. And I'm like, okay, I want to do my job now. Like what was like the biggest vacation like you ever took?
probably Bahamas.
Okay, so you did that for like a week.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
Like, was there like a party that started like feeling like really lazy and like kind of like
Yeah, there was a part of me that like on the fifth day you're like, okay, I'm ready to like do something with my life now.
Yeah, you
Other
kind of
than
like
eat a burger every day,
Yeah.
and take a 3 hour nap, and then I don't know, go see a comedy show. Like, yeah,
you felt lazy.
you feel like you didn't. But like, you know what's weird is some people
Mm-hmm.
get like a high off of doing nothing.
Really?
Like they're almost prideful. Like they're almost like, yes, I got away with doing absolutely nothing today, and I'm proud of that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like an accomplishment to them. Like, I literally got away with doing nothing, and that gives me a dopamine response.
Weird. I
Like,
don't understand that, but
no, there are people like that, and I sometimes am like that.
I feel guilty for like playing like Minecraft for an hour sometimes. It's
Really?
I feel like I could always be doing something.
No, if I got paid and I was at work and at my job to do absolutely nothing, that feels like an accomplishment to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is not a good work ethic to have.
Yeah.
But it is real, and I think a lot of Americans can relate to me. Like,
I mean, yeah, definitely. But that's interesting. I feel a need to contribute to society, and I'm not saying like you're so lazy, you fat lazy man. Like no, I'm just like saying like from my like I feel like to feel useful. I feel like I need to like be contributing somewhat to society.
well, and I like to feel useful, but there's also times when I like to feel like
of course,
I
like
did nothing.
I would love to take like a weekend off for the Bahamas, but like I couldn't do that definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know, it would just be like something I could do temporarily, and then I'd be like, okay, I need to like start doing some stuff. Like,
yeah, and I think everybody gets to that, and like you see people that like are retired, and then they come back out of retirement because they need something to do.
Yeah.
Like it's like they run out of like like they do that thing you were saying where they try their art thing, like they get into pottery or they get into gardening or like they do their thing, and then that doesn't satisfy them, and then they need a purpose.
They need something to strive for.
So I think there needs to be something more. Yeah, I think you're right.
And that kind of like makes me like wonder like with like immortality. So okay, now we're going into religion podcast.
Should we stop? Should we save some for like other podcasts before we go into like religion? We already went into politics.
You know how like we were talking about like the flow of the river. This is like the waterfall, and it's like
now we have plunged off the edge.
We can't stop.
We need to stop. We need to find a dam to stop this.
We need to keep this podcast in a certain order. And
you know what? It's our first one. We're allowed to just go into the weeds.
Not go into the
go
weeds,
all over the place.
We'll probably.
And you know what? We're not forcing people to listen to this.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen. We're doing this
hopefully
for us.
You have agency in the future. Like hopefully robots aren't like, now listen to podcast time.
And you aliens, you guys could totally listen to another alien podcast.
I would love to listen to an alien podcast.
I think I kind of want to name it to like Dear Future Alien Overlords. I think that would be the best name for a podcast. I would listen to a podcast called Dear Future Alien Overlords.
Redo the intro real quick?
Yeah, we'll redo the intro.
Okay, I'll
Dear
scrap it.
Future Alien Overlords. Yes.
So anyway, we definitely got a little bit into the weeds there in conversation. We'll strive for a bit more of
structure
in future episodes. But anyway, that's the first episode of Dear Future Alien Overlords. I guess we're going with that.
I like that name. It's good. DFAO.
DFAO. And future episodes we might have like some of our friends coming on just guest appearances in the podcast. Like I said, this is kind of for future selves.
And then you get to hear a different voice every now and then.
Different voices, and plus, yeah, I'm just interested. I feel like in 20 years would be interested in what my friends are talking like and what they sound like, and just kind of hear.
Oh, exactly. The aliens would be interested in that too.
Is the aliens just gonna be a recurring?
That's gonna be a recurring. You're gonna hate that.
This is for the aliens.
This is not for us, Brigham. We're not doing this because of our selfish desires.
This is for the great Overlord Goreblog.
Praise Overlord Goreblog.
Praise Overlord.
That's how we end every episode.
Anyway, so praise
Overlord Goreblog. See you guys later.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and...
Well, let's do a proper outro.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If it's just us in the future, I hope you guys are doing well and you're alive.
Gosh, that's like if one of us died, we're gonna be like crying right now.
This is gonna be so sad.
So emotional.
Don't be sad, man.
It's okay.
It's okay. Hey.
I probably deserve to get hit by that bus.
Yeah, Brigham probably deserved to get hit by that bus.
Probably deserved it.
Brayden, if you're listening to this, it's okay. He's probably in a better place. No, that's not gonna happen.
What if like
I'm definitely outliving you, Brigham.
Okay, but what if like a bunch of crows came and murdered, or what if Goreblog came down and sacrificed you?
Well, he probably needed it.
See, so I hope
we're gonna start our own religion on this podcast.
Goreblog. Okay, well, this is our outro. Thanks for listening to this. You made it to
the end.
Congratulations.
Kudos to you.
Stay tuned.
We'll see you guys in episode 2.
Episode 2. We're gonna try to come out with these probably on the weekly, but that probably won't happen, honestly. So. Yeah, just keep on hoping
Signing
and
out.
praying to Goreblog for the next
Praise
episode.
to Goreblog.
Praise Goreblog. Okay.